Well, well, well. Good evening. How's everybody today? Those that is there and those that ain't. How y'all doing? It's me. I'm back. It is Monday. It's Memorial Day. I'm not out barbecuing like I should be. But my plan kind of fell through. I was planning on like going and mooching a plate from somebody else. That didn't quite work out like I planned it, unfortunately. So, oh well, it is what it is. So I guess I'll just sit here and run my mouth and call it good. And I sure hate it because I really did have my heart set on eating somebody's barbecue today. Man, that sucks. But it is what it is. And it's Memorial Day too. And the weather was halfway decent today. So go figure. Just in case you're watching and don't think about it, let me remind you, hit that thumbs up, ring that bell, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm get me out there. So, there. So, anywho, today I intended to spend this evening mostly talking about the lack of FEMA support out there that's going to be happening. Oh, hey, what's up, James? What's happening? How you doing? That's one thing I was going to discuss today is the fact that there's been a lot of stuff going on with FEMA. And that was something I really wanted to concentrate on tonight, among a couple of other things. Hey, James, is it a basketball game tonight, or no? Today being a holiday, I didn't even look. I was curious. I might actually watch if it's one going on tonight. But it'll be my luck that it's not the one day that I would intend to watch. So, anyway. So, we're going to get into some stuff about FEMA. We're going to get into some more stuff about the corporate pirates out there as well. And one other thing, before I even get started good, man, I was at a store, and this cashier, she was catching hell about something that, most cashiers don't have any control over anything going on at the store. So most of the time, don't blame the cashier. Now, there's sometimes that the cashier be screwing up. There is a game today. Okay. OKC and the Timberwolves. That's the one I keep catching. I'll be trying to get that Indiana game, but oh well, it is what it is. So anyway, this cashier was catching hell, and it made me think of this one video. This one video really makes me laugh. It trips my trigger. Let's check it out right quick.
Hello, how you doing?
Must be nice working in the fucking air, fucking bitch.
All right, you want your receipt?
Oh, what, like I'm gonna return it?
All right, have a good day.
Some people are so ugly.
I know.
You're like your fucking dog.
Hey, how are you?
These are 2 for $3.50.
Yeah, no shit, she works here.
What?
Hey, Dan.
All right, how you?
Get some chapstick for your lid.
No, my ice hole's chapped.
Would you like a receipt?
Yes.
Toronto.
Ma'am, your receipt.
You don't like Corona, apparently.
You want your receipt?
No. You speak Spanish?
No, not really.
Gracias, puta.
Oh, what's that mean?
I'm not an expert. I think it's called you gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. How are you doing?
Good.
Would you like a bag?
What do you think, lady? I'm gonna put it up my ass.
Hey, how are you? You like these? I really don't like them.
I really don't give a fuck what you like. How much are they?
Good morning. How are you?
Can you please shut up? I haven't even had my coffee yet.
You might be a bitch, but you sure have got a fine ass.
That, I tell you what, that lady that was at the store today, she was catching hell like that. And I was feeling bad. I was feeling bad for her. I was like, man, I wouldn't want to work with the general public today, especially. Today's general public, today's general public is awful. Today's general public is just terrible. Hey, Ronnie, that was that was a young lady who works at a Quickie Mart. And I bet you not a day goes by that she don't regret it. So, let's take it easy on the cashiers out there. And yeah, they do ask some dumb questions like, do you want a bag for 1,000 items? Of course. That does happen. It happens. But hey, she's just trying to be helpful. That's all. Hey, Charles, what's happening? How you doing? She's just trying to be helpful. And by the way, if you hear a bumping noise or something going on, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's traffic or either kids playing. Got some kids playing outside and some traffic too. So that's you greeting everyone. Some places charge for bags. Yeah, some places do charge for bags. And, it don't hurt to be nice. But I guess it was early in the morning. And, a lot of people aren't early morning people, especially the woman who looked like she hadn't had her coffee yet, And, it is what it is. Poor thing. But I'll tell you what, the lady I saw today she was getting it from some lady, and it was something about the store. The store had something a certain way, and this lady didn't like it, and the cashier's got nothing to do with it. She was like, "Hey, I don't have nothing to do with that." That's talk to management. Poor lady, but boy, she was giving it a gas. Okay. So anyhow, again, I'm gonna get into FEMA after I get into this about these corporate raiders again. These corporate raiders are up to it again. Okay, little report coming out of Atlanta. They are buying up the houses, and I told y'all about this before. Look, I gotta say it. If you got a house, make sure you hang on to it. And congratulations to Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana just got selected by the County Common Council to get the newest convention center. Okay? There is going to be a new convention center built by the near the new casino. And Gary was selected to get that convention center. There was surrounding metros that didn't want Gary to get it, you know, and we all know what that's about. So, fooey on them. But Gary got it, which goes to my next point. My next point is, if you own a home, hang on to it, because the value of that home, especially if you're in Gary, the value of that home is likely to be going up, because there is a lot of home buying going on in Gary. They are buying houses and they are remodeling entire neighborhoods in Gary. So I'm going to play this clip, and this is what we're talking about right here.
Right now, a recent study found that just 3 corporations own nearly 38,000 homes in metro Atlanta. Channel 2's Michael Dowdna is in Henry County, and he found that in some counties, corporations are buying up more than half of entire neighborhoods.
When you take a look at the neighborhood behind me, you would never usually guess that most of these homes are now rentals, but it's becoming a more and more common sight, as in counties like Paulding and Henry, nearly 1 in every 10 homes is now owned by a corporation. It's a change that some neighbors say they've seen firsthand.
It means a great deal to be able to own this and leave something for my family.
For Darren Clark, he achieved a lifelong goal when he bought a home in this Henry County neighborhood. But over the past few years, things have changed.
I'd say at least about 60% of the homes around me are probably owned by the corporations.
It's a growing trend of homes owned by corporations, not people, with just 3 companies owning nearly 38,000 homes in the metro area.
I think that's a sad state of affairs, that these companies will be able to price out the average home buyer.
This is ultimately unlike anything we have ever seen before.
Georgia State professor Taylor Shelton did the study, and he says when corporations control a large market share, that allows them to control prices, include junk fees, and neglect maintenance.
And so that means that these companies are able to get away with a lot more than they would otherwise, because there's no competition. They have essentially crowded out their competitors.
And other research backs up those statements, as a recent study from Georgia Tech found large landlords were 4 to 5 times more likely to have code complaints than their smaller counterparts.
When you're not a homeowner, you don't take pride in the property because you're just renting, so you feel like it's not mine, so whatever.
For those like Darren, they want to see changes that give people a leg up over corporations, so that more of his neighbors can go back to being homeowners instead of renters.
It's going to be hard, a hard hill to climb, to be able to dig out of, from underneath the corporations owning so many properties. They're just going to keep snatching them up.
Now, Senator John Ossoff has launched an investigation into corporate landlords, but he has not given an estimated time when there may be legislation associated with that investigation. We're in Henry County. I'm Michael Dowdna, WSB Tonight.
Okay, so understand these corporations are coming to a neighborhood near you. Okay, so, and like you were saying, Ronnie, they were approved. Okay. I guess I can get the distinction. But be it as it may, it's a good thing for the area. I hope they planned this well and executed well. From what I understand, they were ready to hit the ground running with this one. And with, especially considering how they've probably just, that probably just whet the appetites for the owners of the casino. So, I've seen what the plan looks like. Looks like it's going to be nice. So if you own a home, especially in Gary, keep your house, because they're trying to make sure we don't get no houses. If they buying them up to the tune of 38,000 between, imagine in a city like Atlanta. Atlanta's a pretty big city. But imagine 3 companies owning 38 houses in one area, you know, and that happening all across the state. Imagine that happens, you know, across the U.S., which it is happening. Pretty soon, they will own all the property. We will have nothing. So if you are a property owner, keep your property. If you are a homeowner, keep your house, because the greedy out there are trying to buy it all up and not give us any, you know. And trust me, they're going to charge you through the nose if you have to rent one. If you have to rent one, and I've seen some of the rent rates. As a matter of fact, man, I wouldn't want to pay rent this time and age for nothing. That would be crazy. But anyway, hold on to your houses, because if you were in the market to buy a house, imagine how hard that would be if let's assume you're going to buy a fixer-upper at a county sale. You go in to bid at a county sale to get you a fixer-upper. You plan to live in it. Well, guess who you're competing with? The deep pockets of the corporations, you know? If you're competing with them deep pockets, you're going to come up short. And imagine if you're out on the open market trying to buy a house. You see a house for sale, you go in and make an offer, and here come Mr. Deep Pockets Corporation and buy it right from under you. Because, you know, they're going to walk in, all cash deal, yada, yada. See you later. Hang on to your property. And it's going to increase in value. Also, I'm going to give you all something to look into as well. If you do own a house, and I am going to get with my sibling and discuss this, home ownership is also how you start to preserve generational wealth. Okay? I'm going to look into, just throwing this out here for anybody that might be listening, I'm going to look into putting houses into trust to preserve generational wealth, because that's how families build wealth. And we, and when I say we, I mean us, don't typically pass down any wealth to later generations. You know, them that do, that's how you create, you know, that's how they've been creating old money. We typically never create any generational money that gets older. And property is typically the main way it's done in America. So I'm going to get with some of my folks and bounce the idea around about creating some generational wealth moving forward. It'll be after me, of course, but it'll be for those following me. Okay? And you might want to check it out as well. Now, also, unfortunately, some of our later on generations don't seem to get it. So we might want to have some conversations, you know, okay? Let's have some conversations with those following us, because we've never had anybody that give us financial advice. So this would probably be a good time for us to get some good financial habits going and talk to those behind us, get some financial habits going to create some generational wealth. Because we also got an administration that is not on our side as well. So it's coming down to fending for ourselves here. All right? Okay? Let's keep that in mind. And what I learned, I'm going to bring it here and share it with you. I'm going to look into a few things because I think moving forward, we should start the ball rolling on passing wealth to later generations, and getting them used to the idea of having money. We can't seem to get used to having the idea of keeping money. We spend crazy and nobody teaches ours. So just a little bit of that out there. Okay. Now, for the crux of what I wanted to talk about this evening. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Charles. Yeah. I wanted to discuss something that is getting practically no mention. And this should be at the heart of every conversation right now. Especially for those that don't know, hurricane season has started. Okay? Hurricane season is upon us. All right. And we practically have no FEMA. Okay? There is no federal emergency management apparatus going on out there. Okay? It is jacked up. There was storms went through Mississippi in March, and they are still begging FEMA for a declaration of emergency. This should be on the lips of every news program you see. But it's only been mentioned a couple times. And we're going to have a couple of videos. By the way, hit that thumbs up and ring that bell and subscribe if you haven't. Let's watch some video here. And we're going to watch a progression of bad. Okay? Check this out.
The acting head of FEMA, Cameron Hamilton, has been fired just one day after he told lawmakers the agency should not be dismantled. You see, the Trump administration has been vocal about its intentions to shut down the agency. Let's bring in CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanger for more on this. Nicole, good morning to you. So fill us in. Did this firing happen simply because he chose not to align with the administration's goal to shut down the agency, or might there be some other things at play?
Good morning, Errol. That's certainly one reason Cameron Hamilton publicly testifying before the House Appropriations Committee just a day after Secretary Noem testified before that same committee, saying that President Trump believes FEMA as it exists today should be eliminated, empowering states to respond to disasters. Acting Administrator Hamilton told Congress that as the senior advisor to the president on disasters and emergency management, he did not believe that it's in the best interest of the American people to eliminate the nation's disaster relief agency. And DHS senior advisor Corey Lewandowski, Deputy Homeland Security Secretary Troy Edgar dismissed Hamilton during an in-person meeting yesterday morning at DHS headquarters. The firing came at the direction of the DHS secretary. His access to FEMA's building was revoked. This has been a tense relationship, though. I mean, CBS News confirmed last month that Hamilton was among roughly a dozen or so FEMA staffers workers that DHS actually polygraph tested amid concerns about leaks.
During his first all.
Now, check this out. These crazy folks done fired the acting chief that was in place. They fired this guy because he didn't think FEMA should be shut down. Okay? He was fired just for saying FEMA shouldn't be shut down. Now, we all know Trump said that that's one of the main things he wants to do is shut FEMA down. I do not understand why he wants to do this. I don't understand why he wants to do it so fast, because the states do not have the capacity to deal with these situations. Okay? They do not have the capacity. Now, you might want to say, we'll shut it down in 5 years and give the states time to come up with something, but they're not doing it. And these states are already experiencing emergencies. And these are a lot of red states. Someone needs to be screaming this, okay? I do not know why the Dems aren't screaming this. I don't know why. You know, there should be a Democrat on every Sunday program, in front of every camera they can get into or in front of, and screaming what a disgrace this is. But they're not. They're not doing it. You know, the Democrats should be screaming about how incompetent this is. And they're not. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's check out who they replaced that guy with. Let's check it out.
Acting FEMA Administrator David Richardson issued a striking warning to members of the nation's disaster relief agency. CBS News has obtained exclusive video of Richardson's speech on his first day at FEMA. So take a listen.
I don't need very much authority to get everything done I need to do. I don't need the full title. All I need is the authority from the president to put me in here as some degree of acting, and I will make sure that his intent gets completed. I don't stop at yield signs.
Joining us now is Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga. So, Nicole, what else did the FEMA administrator say during this speech?
Juliet, good to be with you. This is a 17-minute-long speech that was given to thousands of FEMA personnel, both at FEMA headquarters in Washington, D.C. and throughout the country, that current FEMA employees described to me as being unhinged, terrifying, and threatening. And Juliet, during his address, he told FEMA employees, quote, "I and I alone speak for FEMA." He went on to say that he has never read a book on leadership before, but is fine operating in chaos. The former Marine also warned his new coworkers not to get in his way as he works to reform and reduce the size of this agency. Take a listen.
There's somewhere south of 20% that decide that they are going to get in the way of change. You can ask anybody that those 20% of the people are a problem. And they have to be sidelined. So don't get in my way if you're those 20% of the people. I know all the tricks, okay? I know them from lance corporals. I know them from staff sergeants, lieutenants, federal employees, my own employees, and indeed myself, okay? I've played the games too. Obfuscation, delay, undermining. If you're one of those 20% of the people and you think those tactics and techniques are going to help you, they will not. because I will run right over you. I will achieve the president's intent.
And Richardson also said in that address that he's working to figure out how to push some of FEMA's responsibilities down to the states. Of course, that is a concern among lawmakers and state leaders who fear they won't be able to deal with crisis management on their own, to deal with all the natural disasters that FEMA tackles day in and day out. Keep in mind that FEMA is an organization that declares a major disaster emergency every other day, and we are roughly 3 weeks ahead of the start of Atlantic hurricane season.
So what else do we know about David Richardson? We do know he was a former Marine corporal. What else about his background?
Yeah, that's right. He was the former assistant secretary at DHS, working in an acting capacity at the Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction office, but he has no real experience at FEMA or in disaster relief management. He was a former Marine, as you noted. He commanded artillery units. He served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Africa. He says in his bio on the Department of Homeland Security's website that he participated in Marine Corps martial arts. He also referenced his military experience frequently during his address to staff today. Take a listen.
Doing things outside of a mission can be very tragic. I've had friends who are either dead physically or very damaged emotionally because they ran into trouble doing things that were not within their mission during combat.
And one current FEMA employee told me that listening to this address felt like he'd suddenly been, recruited to join the armed forces, that this language that Richardson put forth might be commonplace on the battlefield, but it came across as really aggressive to this civilian federal agency filled with employees that are used to not deploying to war, but deploying to hurricanes.
We have breaking news.
So, this guy fancies himself some kind of super boss, okay? He used to be a Marine. And this is how he intends to run FEMA for the time that he's there. Now, the funny thing about these guys like this, he can use his martial arts training to fight the next hurricane. Yeah. Hey, Ronnie, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. But these guys, it's funny. You can be one kind of a boss or another kind of a boss. One kind of a boss knows how to motivate people. Another kind of a boss wants to intimidate people. Who wants to work under that kind of leadership? The kind of leadership that he seems to be heading towards being. He wants to be an intimidator. Okay? He wants to intimidate the folks into doing his will. And he says he's going to do Trump's will. And he's going to run over anybody in the way. It's just plain and simple. I'm just going to do this way, my way or the highway. Now, he mentions he hasn't read any books on leadership. You might want to read a book or two on leadership, You might want to venture down that way. Because, it may help. These people that are being put in charge of these major agencies are so incompetent And they don't understand that these people's lives are at stake. These people's whole lives are at stake. The people going through these emergencies, you know, like in Mississippi right now, their entire neighborhoods that's been destroyed, they've stopped moving the debris because they got no money. They got no capacity to move the debris from the storms that hit in March. The storms that hit Kentucky, the storms that hit Missouri, the storms that hit Arkansas. Now, here's the funny thing. At that same hearing, y'all remember the hearing where Kristi Noem didn't know what the term was. That same hearing, Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, was literally begging Kristi Noem to get on the ball and get FEMA in gear. Get on the ball, get FEMA in gear so they can start handing out information, so they can start, come on, let's get it together. And Kristi Noem said, I saw exactly what I'm going to do. Here, let's listen to how what shape FEMA is in right now.
CNN exclusive, a new internal report says FEMA is, quote, not ready for hurricane season, which is a problem because it starts in a little more than 2 weeks. The disaster relief agency has lost roughly 30% of its full-time staff to layoffs and buyouts. Let's get right to Gabe Cohen, who's got this story. Gabe, what are you learning here?
Yeah, so John, look, we have been reporting about some of these concerns around hurricane preparations for weeks now, but this document that we've obtained is by far the clearest internal assessment that we have seen that really lays out these red flags that have been raised about the upcoming hurricane season amid all of this turmoil at the Disaster Relief Agency and the overhaul that's happening there at the hands of the Trump administration. There's a quote in this document, John, that I think really sums it up well. It says, as FEMA transforms to a smaller footprint, the intent for this hurricane season is not well understood. Thus, FEMA is not ready. And what they're talking about there is this general uncertainty among top officials and all the way down to rank and file at FEMA about what the agency's mission is going to be once hurricane season starts, what storms they are going to deploy to, how much money is going to get out the door. They really don't know. And what has that meant recently? A lack of coordination with other agencies and state partners and a lack of training. Many of those sessions have been paused. Plus, there is the plummeting morale at the agency because, remember, the Trump administration has been attacking FEMA for months now and vowing to eliminate the agency altogether. You mentioned that number, roughly 30% of permanent FEMA staff have left the agency. But what's critical is we are talking about some of the most senior and experienced leaders who have left, who really fill critical roles when storm season gets underway. They build the plans to get out there and help the American people. And that turmoil has meant in recent weeks that the agency isn't properly preparing for hurricane season. This document clearly says that preparations have been derailed this year, as it puts it, due to those issues, staffing, contracts, etc. There's a quote here. It says, if an organization hears that it should be eliminated or abolished, the resources and cooperation are not there. The intent cannot be wind down and be ready to support the nation in a major response. So, John, what does all of that mean for communities, for Americans, what they could face? Well, one official told me what Americans will see is a federal government that is either absent completely or, if present, sputtering to deliver response and recovery resources. And another told me, I can't think of a more adverse way to be heading into hurricane season. We are all on edge and we are not seeing hope. we're going in with no confidence that when decisions have to be made in limited time that impact saving lives, that those decisions will have support. So a lot there, John, and it is really startling stuff knowing that we are just a couple weeks away from the official start to the 2025 hurricane season.
Now, did y'all hear what that man said? That is the scariest shit I've heard in a long time. That is scary. I mean, what he just described is hurricane season is here, and there's nobody home at FEMA. All of the senior leadership is gone. 30% of the employees are gone. If you live in a place where hurricanes are likely to hit, be prepared. Now, also, that means the rest of the emergencies as well. The folks that won't read it. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I mean, I don't even know. I'm put that back up there. I don't even know if I don't know very many people that get in these leadership roles that know anything about Robert's rules. You know what? And I can't believe it either. I cannot believe this is happening to America. Who would have thought? Who would have thought this would be going on in America? That internal review literally said to me, you saw it, that America is in trouble as far as when the emergencies happen. When the, different disasters that go on every year, when they happen, FEMA's already been disabled. Now, Trump could have saved some money. Why even put that guy in charge? What are you putting him in charge of? You're putting him in charge of an agency that ain't working now. And I guess you need a scapegoat, because that's what he's going to be. Now let's listen to Josh Hawley for a second.
What I heard over and over is many of these folks don't have insurance.
Yeah.
You know, many of these folks, they either got their homes from a family member, or they bought them from a family member, so they don't have a mortgage on the property, and therefore they don't have homeowners insurance. So, as you know, having been a governor, in many instances, FEMA assistance is going to be the only assistance that they're going to get. And I just had a hearing in this committee and our subcommittee, Senator Kim and I, last week, where we talked to major insurance companies who routinely scam people by refusing to pay out the full policy awards that they are due. So I know we're going to be fighting that in Missouri. We've got to have the federal government where there's individual assistance that people qualify for. We've got to have people be able to get that. Otherwise, we're never going to be able to rebuild these neighborhoods. Yeah. So you just committed, I think, to expediting that. I appreciate that. Thank you for your help in all of this. And then the last thing we'll say is can you commit also to making sure that the FEMA communication with the state and with individuals is open, is clear, is transparent? You referenced the fact that FEMA is notorious for giving bad information, for slow walking residents, for confusing intake forms that nobody knows how to fill out, for not getting back to people. Can you commit to, as we deal with this disaster in St. Louis and others around the state, that under your leadership, FEMA is going to act with expedition, they are going to be clear in their communications, and they're going to follow up and give people the awards that they need if they qualify for it?
Yeah, that's been the biggest challenge of FEMA in the past, is just the delayed response. People are counting on the assistance and it never comes through. And the paperwork is too complicated for an individual many times to complete on their own. They need help and assistance. So that's part of the reforms that the FEMA Review Council will be undertaking.
Right. Now, that was Josh Hawley from Missouri talking to Kristi Noem. And both of them know FEMA's not going to be there. Both of them know it already. You'll probably have to re-enable the program. Well, you know, unfortunately, a program like that, you can't just fire it up. Because check this out. The people that know how to organize the rescue efforts, the people that know how to do the logistics for equipment, the people that will be going door to door, you know, the people that set up the tents, you know, and remember they was just talking about the paperwork, all them people gone. Okay? There's no, all of those people, they done booked. So, Kristi Noem and Josh Hawley had that whole conversation right there in that hearing, knowing that ain't nobody coming. They both know it. They're both on the same team. They are teammates with the guy who says he's shutting FEMA down. So, if you're on the same team with the guy that says he's going to shut FEMA down, then you already know FEMA's not coming. So this dog and pony show that they are doing in front of the American people to say, hey, we're going to be right on it. You know, it's just a dog and pony show. Red Cross and Salvation Army. Well, yeah, because, you know, they get a lot of money from FEMA and other federal agencies. They get money from FEMA and other federal agencies. And unfortunately, these agencies, you know, are not able to do what they're supposed to do. So that's just where we at right now. But my point to this whole thing is, why are not the Democrats in front of every camera screaming as loud as they can about this very issue? They should be in places like Mississippi, places like Missouri. These are red states. Arkansas. These are red states. Go to these red states and talk to these people and show them, hey, you see what this guy's doing to you. Now, I'm going to talk about this later on this week, too. Because I'm going to see if I can gather up some video from the states where this is happening. This needs to be out there because there's a lot of people also, guess what? If you are not out there on the ground moving the debris, picking up the housing parts that are flown across town and all of that, imagine there's probably some bodies that haven't been found, you know? And I'm pretty sure they got the dogs out looking for people that haven't showed up. But you got all manner of stuff that's going to be going wrong. This needs to be out there. Unfortunately, we have a Democratic Party that seems to be camera shy. They don't want to go in front of the cameras. They don't want to say nothing about the big guy or something. But this is going to be terrible. This is hurricane season. It started already. Okay? Now, the Carolinas, they haven't recovered yet. Guess what? It's hurricane season. And unfortunately, Florida gets hit pretty good with hurricanes too. Mostly southern Florida. And Miami's almost underwater already. You know, I hear that place is sinking. Wouldn't want to live there. So, I wanted to get that out there tonight. I'm hoping the Democrats pick up on this and start telling these people how this incompetent administration is literally about to wipe them out. I guess we'll find out. If you know somebody that's in these areas, hey, let them know to start screaming. Let them know to grab somebody with a camera and start screaming. If you know somebody that's in one of these areas that's been devastated already, you know, tell them to get in front of a news crew and let the world know that FEMA done turned their back on them. There is no FEMA. All right? All right. So, that's what I had for this evening. I'm going to bring it back up again this week because tomorrow I'm going to fire off some more emails to the Democrats and try and get some heat under them. Now, I do understand that they are in chaos. Yes, I do understand that. I do understand there's an internal fight going on in the party with young man, the assistant guy who wants to primary a whole bunch of folks. You know, they'll do good to start paying attention to some really important stuff and start pointing out this guy's incompetence. By the way, speaking of incompetence, they've been talking about Joe Biden for the last week, right? About, you know, everything about Joe Biden. If you heard one of Trump's speeches in the last few days, if you heard one of them, just one, namely like the one he did at West Point, or maybe the one he did today. I mean, any one of the speeches over the last few days, if that ain't the rambling of a madman, I don't know what is. The man cannot put a sentence together. The man can't stay on one idea. And I don't hear anybody screaming about it. The only people who are screaming about how crazy this dude sound is Zelensky and Putin. Zelensky and Putin are the only two people screaming in front of a camera about how crazy the American president has gotten. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. It's a damn shame. Anyway, that's all I got. Hopefully a superhero is right around the corner. Hopefully there's a superhero somewhere around the corner that's going to fly in and save the American people, because we sure in the hell need saving. You know, we sure in the hell need saving. Yeah. Hey, flip-flopping, you know, that's one word for it. Flip-flopping is, man, to put it mildly. Again, the dude don't sound like he there at all when you listen to him. If you listen to him, it's like his brain is gone. I mean, the speech he made in front of West Point, about, he went off on a rant about trophy wives. Really? In front of military cadets. Trophy wives. Anyway, you all stay up. Appreciate you. Again, if you haven't, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, get somebody else to subscribe, ring that bell thing, and let's get this algorithm going. Hey, you all, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Hey, you know what, Charles? I'm right there with you, man. I hope don't the hurricane get to this area. You know what? If a hurricane gets to this area, what? We are in bad shape, okay? See you, Ronnie. And the rest of y'all, have a good evening. I'm out of here. Take it easy.